Hi, Erin here. Today we are going to be making oven roasted potatoes with rosemary. They're very tasty and they only have a couple ingredients, which is always nice. So I just went to one of the gardens and picked a few different types of potatoes. I washed them off a little bit, washed my hands. My oven is preheated to 400 degrees. So now we're just going to chop these into kind of little cubes. So I'm going to start with our cutting technique called the bridge, which is just 2 fingers down and then the other 3 are up, out of the way. The knife goes in between. So we're looking for a flat edge to work with that's a little bit more safe. Oh, look at that. That is beautiful. All right, so we're going to put that flat side down. Then we're going to use the bridge again. We're going to cut it into kind of some slices. And you can choose your size. If you want them to cook faster, you can cut smaller pieces. You could even leave them like this, you know, like JoJo style. And then we're going to use the claw. We have our fingernails kind of tucked under. Hold on to that, and then we're going to cut them into little cubes. And if you feel like you're getting the knife too close to your fingers, then you can just get them out of the way and put them on top of the knife. All right. Now we're just gonna chop the rest of these. So when I was in the garden earlier, I couldn't resist picking this beautiful carrot, and I'm just gonna throw it on in there with those potatoes because I know it's gonna taste good. The cool thing about this recipe is that we're doing potatoes today, but you really could put in so many vegetables in there. You could put almost anything you want. Carrots are great, onions, beets, cauliflower, broccoli. Yeah, they just all will taste good in this. So you feel free to experiment as you get used to making this recipe. And then I'm also going to put in some garlic. I'm going to do 3 cloves, and all that you need to do is take the skins off and just throw them right in the pan. So there's just that little piece there that's connected, or where it was connected, to the head of garlic. You're going to be very careful and slice off just that little end there. And then start pulling that skin off. Garlic tastes good in anything. Anything and everything. So the last ingredient that we need to prepare is the rosemary. So I picked this fresh rosemary today. You can give it a little pet and smell it. It smells so good. And roasted potatoes are my favorite thing to put rosemary on. So what you do is, here's the point, here's where I cut it, and you just strip it this way. Look, and then you get all the little tender leaves. I'm just going to do that towards the end. And then this whole little end is pretty tender, so I kind of just use that whole thing. And then we are going to mince it, and that's where we keep the point of our knife in one spot, and then the other hand just goes up here for a little bit of extra support, and we're just gonna come down on that and give it a nice crunch. And then we're just gonna go back and forth. You just move the back of the knife. Until it gets nice and small. All right, so the rosemary is nice and ready. Put that little bit of rosemary off to the side. Another option is you may have dried rosemary. This has been hanging in my kitchen for a while, and so it's nice and dry. I always like to have fresh herbs hanging in my kitchen if possible. I don't even usually bother putting them into containers because I use them pretty fast. So you just tear off some of those. And then we have a mortar and a pestle here. And this is for grinding up herbs if you haven't heard of one before. Or you could do other things in there too. Sometimes people make guacamole in theirs, lots of different foods. All right, so there's the rosemary in there. And we're gonna take this and we're just gonna push down until it gets nice and smushed like that stuff. So I'm using this pan here. I love cast iron. I cook most things in cast iron. And you could use as big or small of a pan as you like. But you just want to make sure that you have enough vegetables where you only have like a single layer, like where everything kind of lay on the bottom. You don't want to have too many into a second layer. So now I am going to drizzle with some olive oil. All right, and then I have my rosemary. I'm going to sprinkle some of the fresh, and let's do also some of the dry. Nice good sprinkle of rosemary, and then we're going to do some salt. And some pepper. And then we are going to stir this. Lovely. So I've stirred all of that together, and I did have enough oil. You want to make sure that the oil is coating all of the vegetables. And now I'm going to put it into the oven, and I'm going to stir it every 15 minutes, and I'm going to see how long it takes. You want them to be kind of nice and brown and crispy on the outside and soft if you stick a fork through any of them. All right, let's go put it in the oven. I just pulled these out of the oven. They look beautiful. They're very nicely browned. They're nice and soft. Look at that lovely garlic right there. These took 45 minutes exactly to cook, but if yours were a slightly different size, they might take more or less time to cook. You just want to keep an eye on them. Let's look at those beautiful colors happening there. I'm really excited to taste these. Sometimes I will taste things right out of the pan if I'm really excited about them. I have made this a million times, but I haven't had it for quite a while. Let's see, I'm going to go for one of these purple potatoes here. That rosemary is just beautiful. Of course, you can play around with different herbs, but oh, rosemary and potatoes, so good. Often, if I have a wider variety of vegetables that I'm roasting, I will often just eat this for dinner. It's so good. So thanks so much for coming along with me while we do roasted potatoes, and I will see you next time. Bye.